Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us this evening for this evening's webinar. My name's Chris Scott, and I'm one of the Employee Engagement Managers here with the Officers Association. Okie doke. So, as I said, we're kindly joined this evening by Tom Huckle from Crucial Academy, and Tom's going to discuss a little bit about his transition, some overview of the sector, the cyber sector, and then some information on Crucial Academy and the opportunities that Crucial Academy can offer people who are looking to enter the cyber sector. Okay, so just to introduce myself, as I said, my name's Chris Scott. I'm one of the Employee Engagement Managers. Joined the Officers Association in August last year, having worked in the third sector for 8 years. I've got a military background myself, having spent 7 years in Household Cavalry, which meant I spent 18 months in London trying miserably and failing to look pretty for tourists. But that was a long time ago. I left in 2002. So without further ado, I'm just going to hand straight over to Tom. So Tom, thanks for joining us this evening.
Cheers, Scott. Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for taking the time to join us on this webinar. Really, I'll get to the bottom line up front. What I want you to get out of this is, if you are thinking about going into cybersecurity and you're not really sure how, I'm here to hopefully provide that kind of overview and pathway to make it a lot easier and clearer. So if you do want to leave the military or in the process of leaving the military, you know the process and you'll be able to hopefully transition quite easily into the industry. Without further ado, I think the next slide is just an overview of what I'm going to speak about. So yeah, I'm just going to go through an introduction of myself, so you understand kind of my background. I will then go through kind of my resettlement and just hopefully offer some tips and tricks that I found really helpful going through, that if you are going or thinking of going through the process, you can employ as well. I'll go through, I'll start talking about what is cybersecurity. And then from there, really, I'm going to be moving on to cybersecurity training that you can conduct basically now, as soon as we leave this webinar, to build up your knowledge and skills and understanding for hopefully then moving into the industry. I'll talk about cybersecurity qualifications because this is an area that is very busy, it's not very clear, and if you've never really done cybersecurity before, you can get quite lost in regards to understanding which qualifications you need to do to be able to start joining in the industry. I'll talk a little bit about cybersecurity employers, who you can go work for, what kind of jobs are out there, and what kind of roles you can go into. And then finally, like the kind of like last third of the talk, we'll be talking about Crucial Academy itself. So if you are interested, I'll tell you how you can apply for Crucial, how best you can get on the courses that we've got here, and I'll talk a little bit about the courses as well and the process. And like Chris said, at any point, if you've got any relevant questions, please throw them forward and we'll move forward there. So kind of into the introduction, why do I get to host a webinar and you have to listen to me? Get next slide, Chris. You're probably thinking, well, you're probably not, unless you know me. I did cybersecurity in the military, hence then I was able to move in the cybersecurity industry, which is not true. I was 8 years in the Royal Marines. As an officer, I'm going to hear some of you hissing in the background now. I realized really about 6 years in, between that 6 to 8 year period, that I wanted to go and do something other than being the Marines in the military. And after a bit of soul searching, I realized that the thing that really interested me was security and computers. This was really before the buzz of cybersecurity came in, and I managed to find these kind of roles which were labeled as cybersecurity. And what I found was actually the experiences that I had during the Marines. For example, you see there I specialized as a mountain leader. I did reconnaissance troop. Again, nothing to do with cybersecurity, but actually, and there'll be some of you sitting there now with the kind of skills that you may not think are applicable to cyber, but 100% are. Especially in regards to, for example, we'll come on to them later, like cyber threat intelligence. Just having an understanding of the intelligence cycle and how intelligence is used, for example, in the military, can be a massive advantage trying to move into cyber threat intelligence. Information assurance, where you are talking about data protection policies. If you have been, for example, a 2IC or a warrant officer where you've had to manage a lot of people's data, those kind of skill sets play into it as well. So there's a lot of stuff that you can take from your military career which are incredibly applicable moving into cybersecurity. And during my time in the last 2 years, I basically spent my evenings training myself. I was self-taught in cybersecurity. And I'm hoping on one of these slides, I'm going to take you through some of the resources I used that you can now use to be able to then start your journey, hopefully, into cybersecurity as well. As a result of picking up some qualifications and teaching myself, I was then picked up by Barclays cyber operations team. So I moved straight out of the military and went and joined Barclays Bank in their SOC, Security Operations Center. I was on a team called the Attack Monitoring Team, which is literally, as you can imagine, in the Hollywood movies, where you sit in a headquarters operations center with a wall of TVs, watching as live threats come in to the bank, and depending on what they are, whether they're phishing, whether they're malware, whether they were social engineering, it was up to me and my team to deal with those live. And you were kind of under pressure to get the right solution and the right security controls in place, because if you missed phishing emails and you got it wrong and you labeled them as false positives and they had a nasty banking Trojan connected onto them, then that would cause massive issues later down the line when all the antivirus and IDS and intrusion prevention systems started alerting. I was there for just over a year, and then I got the opportunity to join Crucial. And I'll talk through Crucial later, but we are essentially a cybersecurity academy that looks to provide free training for military veterans in cybersecurity to then help them move into the cyber industry. So that's really in a nutshell my background. I'll move on now just into my resettlement and what I did, especially if, again, you are thinking about leaving and how best to tackle it. So we jump onto the timeline. The best advice I can say, if you want to go into cybersecurity and you haven't got any experience, is not to feel put off, but to start as soon as possible. The sooner you can start just doing little bits, whether that's with online training, and I'll show you a platform later that you can start to get some free training. It's just starting reading a lot of news articles, and again, I'll show you where you can find the latest news or listening to certain podcasts. The more you can understand that and start to understand the language, the better. You have to really immerse yourself in this kind of industry to get the most out of it and to really become successful in it. So really for me, like I said, once you do the click, you got up to a maximum of 12 months. As soon as I could, I completed Network Plus and Security Plus. Now, Network Plus and Security Plus are part of the accreditation body called CompTIA. CompTIA are a very good accreditation body. They're American, and they were based over there, but as a result of their courses being accredited and recognized worldwide in the cybersecurity industry, it's a very, very good place to start. So I would say if you are at the very start of your journey and maybe you feel like you don't have any understanding of computers or anything, the best place to start is CompTIA IT Fundamentals. That will take you through, again, just the fundamentals of what information technology is, and that will give you a solid grounding to go into CompTIA's A+. If you think you've already all over it, if you're very good at you've been using computers all your life, miss out IT Fundamentals and do a self-teach on CompTIA's A+. And if you're writing all these notes down, that's great, and I've got a slide later which will show you the pathway and it will make a lot of sense when I'm talking about A+, and Network Plus, and Security Plus. A+ is a qualification. It's an introductory qualification to cybersecurity. What it does is it teaches you how computers are put together. It tells you, again, all the nuts and bolts. What is a RAM? What is a motherboard? What is an RJ45 cable? And when you put these all together and how you put these all together, this is what computers are. So it's a very good introductory course, and you need it to be able to then understand Network Plus, which is the next qualification you do afterwards. Network Plus, I'm not going to lie, will probably be the hardest qualification in cybersecurity that you will do, because it's you starting out on that roadmap into cybersecurity. This is where we start talking about IP protocols, how networks operate, how we send data, bits, bytes, and all that, how we package up data and send it round. And when you go sit down at your computers at work and you can email someone from the other side of the globe, it starts to teach you how we put this all together and how it works. You can't skip this qualification out, which quite a few people think they can, because without having the understanding of the fundamentals of how networks are made, you won't understand how to exploit them and how they are vulnerable when they are misconfigured, for example, later down the line when you start doing your Security Plus and further qualifications. So Network Plus is then followed by Security Plus. Security Plus builds on Network Plus. It's easier in a sense than Network Plus because it takes the fundamentals from networks and teaches you then how they are vulnerable, how they are weak, how you can exploit them, and it started introducing certain threat actors or malicious actors into the fray and how they will start to exploit them, what you have to look out for, what is a script kiddie, what is a white hat. You got a question, Chris?
Yeah, just really quickly. So, just to double check, Tom, are you happy for us to share these slides with those that have attended, so that they can keep a permanent record of some of these things that you're talking about now?
Yeah, that should be. Yeah, it should be absolutely fine. There's nothing in there that I do not have on the Insight Day with Crucial. So yeah. I mean, I'm very happy for them to share.
Fantastic, thank you.
Yeah, and there's going to be, and I apologise now, there'll be a lot of information during this, but like I said, hopefully with the slides being made available afterwards and writing notes and also you being able to ask questions, and please ask questions at any point, because I will be talking quickly to try and get it all in during the time period. So yes, Network Plus, Security Plus, yeah, it's a lot more fun in regards to qualifications. You enjoy it a lot more because it's starting to do what we consider, like you would probably consider the fun stuff in cybersecurity. You get introduced to ethical hacking, cyber defense, all that kind of, and cyber threat intelligence, and starting to put it all together. Now, Network Plus, Security Plus, they are available via CTP. They cost, if you go do the older shot course, which is accommodated, about 400 and something pounds. I'm not too sure how it lasts. However, you can do them online for free. And I'll show you how later. So if you want to save a bit of your money, you can do it for free. It just means that you'll, rather than sit in an environment, a classroom-based environment where you'll be sat there for, I think, 4 weeks dedicated to this, you can do it in your own time. And you may have to, because CTP doesn't have a lot of capacity to do it. And every time I try and direct people, they always say that it's always booked up. So again, if you're thinking of getting on, if you can get on board early, then great. If not, then I'll show you how to do it free later.
Tom, what's the timescale for these courses? So you talk about Sci Plus and Network Plus. How long would people expect these courses to take?
So I would say A plus, you can teach yourself really in 6 to 8 weeks. So 6 weeks, I'd say. A plus, you can teach yourself. Network Plus will be a couple of months of hard, solid work. And that's probably 2 to 3 hours just in your evenings, just going through it. And you need that time for Network Plus because of how difficult, technically wise, it can be if you've never touched it. So most of your time will be involved in Network Plus. Security Plus, again, a month of hard work, month and a half, you may find 2 months again. Network Plus will be the big one, which takes up most of your time. And that's why I'll try and reiterate again, the sooner you start this, if you've got any inkling, and you'll soon know if you are enjoying the subject, because you'll start doing this, you'll be like, yeah, this is really interesting, I really enjoy it. And then again, doing those kind of, the work won't be such a hassle.
Okay, and you guys over at Crucial, you provide all of these qualifications?
So what we do in Crucial is we provide the online training platform to be able to go and do Network Plus and Security Plus in your own time.
Okay.
And I'll run it through it all later, but then we also provide discounted vouchers to be able to take your Network Plus and Security Plus. So again, if you want to be able to do the training online with us and then when we're ready, if you want a discounted voucher for Network Plus and Security Plus, just drop us an email and we'll sort that out for you.
That's fantastic, thank you.
No worries. Just running through the timeline very quickly then, I signed off in April 2016. I jumped to the CTP workshop, which is okay, it teaches you again CV stuff, but what I'm saying is network. Get yourself to as many events as possible. The 80% chance you'll get of getting a job will be through networking. Going to these events that are put on, going to meet people, building up your LinkedIn profile, reaching out to people to talk to them about people in the industry and cybersecurity. That'll be the way to get the job. It will be the most successful route. So my advice during that period is, again, self-teach, self-study in cybersecurity, build up your knowledge, and just network. Go to as many events as you can. That will be where the jobs will come from. And that's just from my experience in talking to people through the Insight Days of where they've got jobs as well. Like I said, I was picked up by Barclays. I jumped on one of their bets intensives. And then as a result from there, I got offered a job, and I joined in cyber operations 2017 and then Crucial in May 2018. If you haven't seen this already, and you want to do some presentations in the future, this is one that is typically used. It's Kaspersky's cyber threat map. It's good to sit in the background because it looks interesting, and it is interesting, but essentially what it is a piece of marketing. I'm going to use it here just to make a point of what cybersecurity is, because what you're seeing there is Kaspersky products, and Kaspersky is an antivirus product. You probably heard it in the news. It got banned last year from the American Department of Defense because it was suggested that it was used to hack into the CIA and NSA and grab a load of offensive cyber weapons from the Americans, and as a result, they got thrown out of the Americans. But what it's showing here is basically a massive honey net of all the Kaspersky products, and every time it picks up a virus, a Trojan, a piece of email, it basically sends an alert to Kaspersky. And what this video is basically showing is all those alerts in a real-time scenario kicking off. Basically, this is just Kaspersky. There are 61 other companies out there in the world that kind of do this kind of thing that Kaspersky's doing. And this is happening day in, day out. In regards to what cybersecurity is, it's basically a battle between the people who are out there trying to exploit people via digital means and also physical means in regards to involving a bit of social engineering. And then you've got the defenders on our side who are shutting the banks, shutting these major corporations, and all the way down to now filtering down to medium to small businesses, and to try and protect them. And if you're asking who's winning at the minute, it's not the defenders. The attackers are winning considerably, which is why we've got such a and this is where all the issues fall out in regards to the cybersecurity market about not having the right professionals in place and the jobs, and why there's such a skills gap is because we simply haven't got the people in the market currently to be able to go and fill these jobs properly. So this is where Crucial fits in, to fill that skills gap in a bit. Cybersecurity, in a sense, and we'll go through some of the job roles you can be doing, is basically trying to protect digital assets, information from businesses, and protecting that data so it remains confidential and messages and security is made available to its customers at all times. And that is essentially in a nutshell. Is there any questions?
No, we're questionless at the moment, Tom.
Happy days. Very, very quick overview of what cybersecurity is. So cybersecurity is basically, it's an umbrella term. Just jump back one. Oh no, that's all right.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, bring them all up. Cybersecurity is an umbrella term that sits within information security. Within cybersecurity, you've got stuff like cyber threat intelligence, you've got cyber training, offensive to cyber, which is a new one that's been around for ages, but now is becoming a lot more public. So there's a myriad of job roles that you can go into, and it can be very daunting at the start of, okay, so I want to go into cybersecurity. It sounds very interesting. I like computers. I see this as a career choice that's not going away. It's only expanding. It's going to become more and more important, especially with the rise of certain things like the Internet of Things, 5G, and all these kind of threats, the rise of nation states as well, of moving away from, again, physical means of using tanks and soldiers on the ground to now digital means to attack other nations. So it's again, we're at the very forefront of this kind of transformation into the digital era, and cybersecurity really is this kind of new boy in the block, which is now becoming a lot more mature in its practices. But as a result of becoming more mature, it's a lot more complicated to understand where you can fit in. So the best place to start is, I'm going to build up a few, if you bring up the rest on the screen as well, the last one should be CompTIA Security Plus. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Right, so these are some resources that if you want to jump on board in cybersecurity, if you've not heard of them, this is the place to start. I can't unfortunately go in and show you what cyber is or what these ones, so I'm going to talk you through them, and then hopefully you can grab them. If you've got any questions on how to find them, drop them in the question bit, and I'll direct you to them. So I spoke to you about how you can do certain qualifications for free. Cyber is the place to do it. It's what I used all those years ago when I wanted to start in cybersecurity. It's a big platform online, and it has a large array of qualifications there that you can basically study for free. The best I'm going to also say is that I've joined up with Cybery, and we've created between Crucial and Cybery basically a collaboration of specialized curriculums focusing on certain aspects of cybersecurity. So if you want to go and start focusing into defensive cybersecurity or offensive cybersecurity, when I say that, that's what I'm talking about is penetration testing, ethical hacking. If you want to go do cyber threat intelligence as well, or information assurance, the best thing to do if you want to jump straight into those kind of areas, go on the Crucial website, go and look at the courses online. It will say apply here. Once you apply, because if you'll state during the applications process which course you want to be considered for, you'll then be given a Cybery login and a curriculum. Once you logged in, a curriculum will be associated with your profile, and that will be one that will provide all the foundations and fundamentals in cybersecurity. So if you're at the very start of your journey, I've put together, again, a list of about 10 courses that you can do, which will then, if you want to run through all of those, you'll be a very good place to then start on your specialization. I then create a curriculum, for example, for the offensive cybersecurity, a curriculum that is based on introducing you to what the key skills you need to be able to learn to be a penetration tester. If you work through those, you'll then be able to then understand what it's like to be a penetration tester, and it will give you a really good foundation to then, if you want to try and apply for one of our courses, we basically, I'll talk you through it later, we'll look at how you've done on Cybery. But there's lots of other stuff as well which you can add and enroll in as well. So again, any questions on Cybery, let me know, but just cybery.it, you'll find it, you just need to log in, you'll be good. Professor Messer is kind of an alternative to Cybery. It's not on the scale of Cybery. Professor Messer does training purely for A+ security, Network Plus and Security Plus, and has a load of videos and external media on there that you can use. And the teachers on Cybery aren't you just can't link in with them. So Professor Messer focuses on that kind of beginning process of A+, Network Plus, Security Plus. I believe you can also download the videos from that website. So for example, if you've got an early morning commute, and rather than just reading up on the Daily Mail or the BBC, you can watch the videos as you go in to try and digest this kind of information a bit more. So that's another really good resource. And then the other one is the UK Cybersecurity Challenge, which is a Home Office incentive. It's based around online game challenges to introduce people to cybersecurity. So it's a bit more interactive in a sense. It provides you with a bit of games, a bit of a platform to kind of test your skills in certain areas. It's one of those as well. If you do well and you're not in the cybersecurity industry, you can be invited to certain like capture the flag challenges and kind of more other national level challenges as well. It is mainly aimed at the younger generation, some of their competitions, but then you can still use a lot of the resources on there to kind of, again, start your journey into cybersecurity. So there are three really good places to, again, start to build up your knowledge. Cyber, for me, is the number one, where you can do IT fundamentals, A+, Network Plus, and Security Plus, all online for free. And that will be all through, again, that will be all part of the Crucial curriculum as well. To help build on that as well, I put together some what I call just knowledge platforms. And essentially what these are different areas you can get some knowledge in cybersecurity. Now, podcasts, again, if you're on a commute and you've got 20 minutes or you've got, when you first get into the office, and you've got 20 minutes before you start work, I highly recommend the CyberWire podcast. This is the podcast that is out Monday to Friday. It's 20 minutes long max. What it does is it updates on the last 24 hours in the world of cybersecurity. So if you want to quickly get up to speed of what's happening in the world, then listen to the CyberWire for a week, and you'll be right in there with the latest news, what happens. Because this world, the cybersecurity world, moves so fast. Every day there's something new that comes in. There's a new vulnerability, there's a new attack, there's a new breach. And for example, as soon as you go to interview, guaranteed one of the questions they're going to give you is, so what's happening at the minute in the world in cybersecurity? Can you give me an example of the latest breach? And if you haven't got something that's happened in the last week or so, or the last month, you'll be that'll put you massively back on the back foot. So Cyberwire is an easy win where you can just listen to 20 minutes a day, and it'll teach you the language of how we talk in this world as well. And then once you start speaking it as well and understanding it, it'll make this everything so lot easier. If you haven't done it already, you don't know what an RSS feed is. What it does, it sits in your browser, or it can be downloaded as an app. And what it does is, what you can do is you can add certain like news sites to it. It looks like in your browser, it looks like that an orange radar, and you've probably seen it on websites as well, where it's down there with the Facebook and Instagram logos as well. But where it's got on the slide, Bleeping Computer, Krebs on Security, NCSC website, the Register, they are all websites I highly recommend that you add to an RSS feed, it's Romeo Sierra Sierra. Add those because these are very good to keeping you again up to date on what's happening. They'll provide you with, you'll get from the Cyberwire, for example, this has happened on this day and this time. You won't get a hell of a lot of information. If you want to look into those kind of stories in a bit more detail, you then go to your Bleeping Computer, Krebs on Security, NCSC website, or the Register to get a lot more information on those kind of topics. The NCSC is the National Cybersecurity Centre, which is kind of the public-facing arm of GCHQ. They have a very good website that, again, provides announcements, weekly announcements on the latest threats, lots of advice that you can then use to, again, understand what's happening. And there's a load of other blogs on there providing you with a lot of information on, for example, risk management and cybersecurity, the latest, basically how to defend a network, how you can stop phishing emails and stuff like that. So it's a very good website as well. The last one I've got on there is Kali Linux. Kali Linux, for those who are interested in going to penetration testing. Kali Linux is basically an operating system that you can download into a virtual box onto your desktop, and it has all the kind of tool sets already preloaded for basically conducting penetration testing. If you want to go into that field, highly recommend you download a piece of software called VirtualBox. Download the Kali Linux OVA or I don't think the best way to say it for the people who may not understand that. The operating system off websites like Offensive Security, you can find it. Or if you just type into Google Kali Linux operating system for VirtualBox, you'll find it. And then you can load it up on your computer at home, and then you can start to have a little play around, understanding how to use certain tools on there, which you'll definitely need for when you're coming on, for example, these ethical hacking courses. And the training focus I've already gone on is where you should focus your training at just starting going into cybersecurity. Is that Network Plus and Security Plus? So we'll go through now the qualifications. What I've done here is I've really thrown up a load of qualifications on the screen to kind of show you that there's a lot out there, and it's quite confusing understanding where to start. What you've got there at the top is the CompTIA pathway, which I've spoken about already. So they start at IT fundamentals, they move on to A+, Network Plus, Security Plus, and then after that, you can start to specialize. So you can either go the infrastructure pathway or the cybersecurity pathway. The infrastructure pathway is if you are interested in going into the engineering world of cybersecurity. Cybersecurity pathway is obviously if you want to go into kind of the defending, the analyst kind of pathway as well. So it kind of highlights you can't really skip and just jump straight to Security Plus without going through A+ and Network Plus as well. CREST is a very good accreditation body as well, but it's more for the advanced students. It's intermediate. It really starts at intermediate. There's nothing really there to really start you off in this journey. But if you have got some experience in cybersecurity in the military and you want to jump into something a bit more, this is basically where Crucial sits. Crucial starts at the intermediate. So we start at the CYSA Plus qualification there, you see on CompTIA in the middle, and then we also start at CREST as well for our offensive security and cyber threat intelligence qualifications. The ones at the bottom, the CSER, CRISP, CISM, they sit with ASACA. And the pitfalls that I normally see of students is saying, oh, I've jumped on a CISM course. CISM is designed for people who have been in the industry for 5+ years minimum, and they've got the experience of also operating there. So the thing is, there are some people out there who could probably go and take a CISM course while coming out of the military. But what you'll find is then trying to find jobs and once you get into interviews is trying to justify the CISM qualification, especially if you've got none of the foundations, excuse me, to be able to back up the topics that are spoken about and detailed within the CISM curriculum. GIAC, there is SANS. SANS is, again, one of the probably most popular and well-known cybersecurity qualifications up there with CompTIA and CREST. But for those who've got experience with SANS, SANS is very, very expensive. The SANS you can be looking at, of course, in the thousands, nearer to the 10,000s than less. So that's the downside of SANS. But if you see anything GIAC or anything like that, that's SANS. My advice is stick with CompTIA if you are just starting out. It's very good. And then after that, once you get up to Security Plus level, you are at the level to then specialize into your CREST, your SANS, or further into your CompTIA, into your CISA, and then above as well. If you haven't seen this again just highlights the pathways that you can take. You can find it easy online if you just type in IT certification roadmaps. There's a few variations of it as well. This is really just to highlight that, again, I've got the red box around the beginner, is to not, if you haven't done beginner and intermediate or advanced, don't try and jump ahead thinking that a more advanced qualification will get you that job. Because again, when it comes down to the interviews, because what you'll have in cybersecurity is you'll have the initial telephone interview. Oh, that's if you get past. So the CV, yep, you have the CV, you've got to get past kind of a HR shift with your CV. And if you get that, you'll get a telephone interview. After that, you'll be asked to come and be invited in, and that's where you'll get probably a principles and an ethos and a values and standards kind of interview, asking again for examples in leadership. What would you do in these kind of scenarios, etc. If you pass that, you'll then be taken to a technical interview. And again, if you haven't got the fundamentals in place, you may fall foul at the technical interviews because they can be quite tricky. So again, you can take this away and use this. It's a good roadmap to show you the kind of qualifications and roadmaps you can go. And on the right-hand side, it shows you the areas in cybersecurity that maps to the qualifications as well. So again, if you're struggling, this is a decent enough, relatively up to date. There's a few qualifications on here that don't exist anymore, and a few that are in existence qualification-wise that aren't on here. But for a general rule of thumb, if you are interested in certain things, it's a really good roadmap on how to get into cybersecurity and where to start.
Tom, just we've had a couple of questions along the similar theme, really, which is so what would you say are the minimum level of qualifications that you'd need to be able to find a role, maybe an entry level role in the sector?
You're really looking at your Security Plus. You've got your Security Plus and Network Plus at an absolute minimum.
That's great, thank you.
Yeah, and that's for going into your. You could probably look at them again. If you get those qualifications, you'll get very junior roles. But again, if you've been in the military and you're coming out at again, you've done 10 years or so, you may find again the junior roles they're offering, especially outside of London, don't match the salary expectations you are looking at. The best thing to do is to get that Network Plus and Security Plus under your belt, and then go specialize in a more, for example, a more advanced intermediate kind of qualification, which starts to then specialize you down one of these routes that you see on the right-hand side. Because then once you start to specialize and you get the penetration qualification under your belt, or the analyst qualifications in defensive cyber or cyber threat intelligence, or you start to then move into the information assurance and you get your ISO 27001 implementer, etc. under your belt, or GDPR, Certified Data Protection Officer, that's when people then will then be able to move into roles that probably match what they're expecting in salary-wise as well. And you'll be able to you'll find that you'll get a lot more interviews as a result as well.
Fantastic, thank you. Yeah, and yes, that's great.
This is all about, I just want to talk about cybersecurity careers, because again, a lot of the questions we get on Insight Days and the questions is about, again, who can I go work for? And the question, if you'd asked a few years ago, there was probably a few select people you could work for, your FireEyes, your banks, your big consultancies as well. But now really with the rise of how important cybersecurity is, this list is doesn't do it justice, really. There are tons of businesses that you can go work for, and there are a lot of opportunities to work outside the UK and other countries as well, if that is what you fancy. And there's a lot of money to be made as well, especially when you go outside the UK. But really, for example, every major business now that I know of will have some sort of cybersecurity team or individual operating within that business. So every single bank will have a major team in place involved in cybersecurity of all the different functions. You've got your specialized cybersecurity companies like your Red Scans, your FireEyes, and that which specialize in purely cybersecurity, and especially in threat intelligence as well. Your MWR specializing in penetration testing and your consultancy. Your Deloitte's, your PwC's, your Grant Thorntons, are also building big cybersecurity teams and consultancies requiring people to go in. And at the minute, there's not enough capacity for people in the market to go in there. So again, the best thing is once you can get in the industry and you can get 6 months to a year under your belt of experience, you can pretty much, as long as you keep the process of continuous learning, continuous networking, building up your profile in the industry, because it's quite a small industry, you can pretty much write your and don't hold it to that in like a few years' time when you say you told me this and it doesn't make sense. But once you get that experience, you'll be able to find that recruiters are always knocking on you, saying that they can find you opportunities. You won't go have to work very hard to go and then get jobs once you get that experience under your belt. So again, that's why it's a very good industry to go into. And it's a very kind of safe one once you've got in and you've got that experience under your belt with certain companies as well. It's a very good place to be in that sense as well.
Tom, do you find that employers value military personnel, and particularly military personnel who have perhaps still got their clearances, so their security clearance, their DV clearance? Is that valuable in the industry?
Yeah, very much. There are certain, especially if you go work for certain companies afterwards, or certain businesses that would jump at the chance to get someone who's SC or DV cleared. And with some cybersecurity experience under their belt as well. Not when I say experience, qualifications under their belt. A lot of employers have started to understand that cybersecurity, they can't make these employers, they're not out there. And that's a wrong choice of word. They can't find them, that's what I meant to say. They can't find these employees out there because there's not enough. They're realizing now they've got to make these people. And the best people out there, it seems, and a lot of people are jumping on board, is military personnel because of how quickly they can pick up these skill sets and how they can actually employ them. They've also got the consultancy skills that are very much desired by companies as well. The ability to be able to hold conversation with clients, the ability to have confidence in a room, to have a meeting and to present to people that you've never met before is surprisingly a very in-demand skill out there. You can pair that with the ability to talk technically in a very simplistic manner and have confidence of speaking to CEOs, CISOs, CIOs, and hold your own is incredibly valuable. So in that sense, yeah, it's to be able to have the military, those skill sets, and cybersecurity is very good.
And in terms of flexible working, is it? I mean, it's something that people are more interested in now. Flexible working, part-time working. Is it a sector that's accommodating for those sorts of requirements?
It is. It depends what company you go to and what job role as well. For example, when I joined Barclays, it was a 24/7, 365 service, which meant that every day or every second there was a team member on there or a team on there protecting the bank. So you worked in shifts, and the shifts were 12 hours long, and it was 3 days on, 3 days off, 3 nights on, 7 days off. Which actually, once you got into it, was actually all right. And coming out of the military, that sort of thing didn't really affect me too much. And also, once you get onto that kind of pattern as well, you get what is called shift pay. So So as a result of doing shift work, they give you a bonus amount on top of your basic salary as well, which might, again, can go up to 14, 20%, depending on who you're working for, which is, again, a really good incentive to do that sort of work.
Yeah.
There's other
Yeah.
companies that do consultancy work where you'll be on the road quite a bit, going to different businesses, providing the consultancy work as you would do in any kind of consultancy. But now, because it's cyber and you can work obviously anywhere as long as you've got your laptop, there are certain jobs now that allow you to do remote working. And also there's flexible working as well, where you can work from home from certain days of the week and then just come to the office 1 or 2 times a week. So yeah, the remote working is definitely a lot easier in cybersecurity because of what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of location, is there an area of the country where you'll find more jobs located? Is it quite London centric, or is it or are there opportunities across the regions?
From what we've seen, the most opportunity is in the London M4 corridor down to Bristol.
Okay.
And London's an obvious why London's so popular. Obviously, the Bristol area is obviously where certain security services are as well. So there's a big cyber security contingency down there as well. But there are companies up in the Manchester area, the Liverpool, York, Leeds as well, that are based there. It's just there's not. When I say not as many, it's not like it's a desert up there. It just means compared to the opportunities in London and down in Bristol, there are them, but just not as much. So again, it just depends on what jobs are out there, whether you can work remotely or whether you can commute within easy distance as well.
That's fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, I've got 4 points, but there are a load more to go through in regards to what they are in broad sense. The hardest thing is businesses sometimes don't understand how to even portray roles, because there'll be the security team within the business will tell HR, right, we've been given the funding to require these sort of roles. HR will basically say, write me exactly what it is, and we'll put it out. And for example, if there is the miscommunication there, the person writing the profile hasn't been right, you'll find some very funny names out there for these sort of things. But you're looking for, again, security consultant, obviously cyber security in the name. Information security is another one. It could just be, again, a very generalized one in regards to, you don't just do the cyber, you talk about all the policies as well, you talk about GDPR, and you can really cover everything in there along with cyber, but under the umbrella of information security. An up-and-coming kind of area is threat intelligence. So cyber threat intelligence, it does exactly what it says on the tin. You are just building intelligence for a company so they can be proactive against threats rather than reactive. And then you also advise during attacks to triage certain incidences so they can be resolved quicker as well. It's a very, very interesting. So you'll be doing a lot of, again, research on certain hacker groups, nation states, learning about their TTPs, how they operate, how they attack, and providing, again, these advice to businesses and clients on how best they can protect themselves against these sort of threats. Stock analyst is kind of the job I did, which you work in an operations center, defending the bank. Basically, you're the frontline defense against any of these kind of live attacks that come in, preventing the bank from being breached. I could list here a load of other things, but these are kind of the main areas that you can look at. There's cyber risk as well. I'm trying to think of a few others off the top of my head. If you have any questions or if there are any other areas, please just ask and I will expand. Okay, so the last bit here, I'm just going to talk through Crucial Academy. So if you're interested in applying for Crucial, I'll run through very quickly how we do it. I'll go through the candidate process here, just conscious of time as well. So the way we do it is, if you are interested in applying, if you go to the website, there's an application process on there. Once you apply, you'll get an email from Crucial, which will give you the link you need to follow to get your Cybery login account. That will provide you with the curriculum specified for the specific course you want to do. And then once you work your way through that, if you're selected, you'll go on to the next one, Chris. You just bring them all up. There should be another 3 there. We're then invited to a 3-week course. Our headquarters is down in Brighton, but we have done ones over in Gloucester, and we're looking at other areas around the country as well to hold these as well. We've got employment on there. So what it is the message is from Crucial is we can't guarantee that you're going to get a job. It's impossible on our side because there's so many factors that we determine. But what we can say is that we aid to help you in this department. We do have clients who are signed up for us who are looking for people to go join their ranks. And basically anyone who gets invited on the course, their CVs get sent off to all the customers and clients that we have. If they like your CV, and we'll help you write CVs as well, they'll come back to us and say, we would like to interview so-and-so. And that's how the process works. Think of it like you need to look for your own job at the same time, but just think of it, you've got someone else looking out for you, trying to find your job. And this will explain when you come down the courses as well. And then the last bit, support. We keep in touch with all our candidates who come through the process. And we've helped people go into new jobs after they've done their first one. We help people again if they need a refresher as well. Like I said, I had David Coles down yesterday, who's on my very first information assurance course. I did a kind of a refresher day for him on information assurance. So we keep in touch with everyone with WhatsApp groups of all our students. So again, once they're out in industry, if they've got any questions that they want to ask, we can then support them once they're out there as well. Go on, next one, Chris.
Yeah, just a couple of questions on this slide, Tom. So when if somebody was looking to get involved with Crucial, when during their transition should they be looking at starting to make contact with you guys?
Oh, as soon as possible.
How long does the process take?
So it doesn't take very long at all. So, well, it's a hard one to say. So my advice is, if you are interested, apply as soon as possible, because as soon as you can get on Cybery and you start working on that curriculum, because basically that's one of the ways that we select people to come on the course, is we look at Cybery, and I'll take you through it, and I'll show you exactly what we do. We look at, again, how much of the course material they've worked through, and we've also got a lot of tests on there. And we just look at, again, how people's scores are. And the reason we do that is because because our courses are intermediates, they're not for beginners. It would be a disservice if we brought people on the course who weren't up to the required standard, because at the end of the course, you have to pass an exam. Basically, you go and take the actual exam. We don't give you a voucher and say, go away and take it. You take the exam at the end of 2 weeks. So then in the third week, you can then we have a lot of industry come down into the academy, and we'd like you to have the qualification there. So if the industry partner wants to talk to you, you can say that you've now got the qualification. Go for it.
Sorry, Tom. So would you say, as a bare minimum, anyone who was looking to apply for Crucial should have at least completed the Security Plus and the Network Plus?
Yeah, so that's what we say. We don't say you have to hold those qualifications. We say you have to have got to Network Plus and Security Plus standard. If you've got the qualifications, great. But otherwise, we'd like you to just demonstrate that you've got that knowledge. And that may be just having a phone call with me on the phone, just to make sure you have. Because otherwise, you'll come on the course, you'll be invited down to Crucial, you'll come on the course and you'll struggle. And you won't take up the material as required, and then when it comes down to the end of the soon, you've got to go take this exam, because the exams are difficult, but not easy to pass. Again, we want everyone to pass, and so far our pass rate is really high as a result of getting people there. And the thing is, if you don't get invited on, this is why I say engage straight away, because if you don't get invited on the first course, you can stay in the Cybery process.
Yeah.
Contract to the next course, we'll see that you've been there for, okay, wasn't invited, or she wasn't invited on the last course, but they've kept training, and look, the scores have gone up, they've done a lot more, they've engaged, we've met them at networking events as well. This is the type of person we want. Okay, we invite them on the next course when they come down.
It's showing that interest in the sector as well as your own development and progression.
Yeah, and we can't have everyone, we'd love to have everyone down on the courses, but we can't. We have a set number of people that we can have from the military, because we also have paying customers who come and pay for the courses as well. So again, what we say, you are unlucky not to get on the first course. Hopefully you've engaged at the very start of your resettlement, and then you can come on when the next one comes on, because we normally run these every 3 or 4 months.
Yeah. And so a couple of points just on that, really. So in terms of size, how big are your courses?
We go up to 20. So we normally, at the minute, we normally have 10 spaces available for military veterans, and then we normally have 10 paying spaces as well. But it really depends. If we've got less paying people, then we'll up the amount of military. But 20 is the max we can serve.
And somebody's asked a question around funding. Would they need to use their ELCs for you?
No, it's free.
It's free.
Yeah, currently it's like if you're serving the military or you're going through resettlement, then it is free. There are a few conditions on there. For example, if you are already working in a business, we then have to look again if we've got terms of that business as such, because otherwise the business will just be like, oh great, we can just upskill all of our employees in Crucial. So that's what I mean. There's a few stipulations there, but otherwise, if you're going through resettlement, then yeah, it's free for military personnel.
Fantastic. Somebody's asked a question around their Cyber account. So they've already. I'm assuming that they've already got a Cyber account. Would they be able to link? If they then set up an account with you guys, would they be able to link the two?
It links seamlessly. So if you've already got an account, so basically the easiest thing to do is if you get the link from Crucial, keep Cyber just sat in the background. Click on the link that you'll get from Crucial, and it will just seamlessly link into your Cyber account, and then you'll see in your, I believe it's your enrollments or your assignments, you'll see the Crucial Academy Cybersecurity Essentials, and then you'll also see the Crucial Academy's Offensive Selection Course, or the Defensive Selection Course, or the Cyber Threat Intelligence Selection Course.
Fantastic, thank you. And just lastly on this, if coming out with the qualifications from you guys, what sort of level of role would a graduate look to be? Would they expect?
So we've placed people into the penetration testing teams with people like the Red Scans, KPMG. We've had people going to the IBM SOC and the Defense Cyber Threat Analyst role. It depends. A lot of things depends on where you're willing to work. And salary expectations, and who's at the minute. So this is why we'll sit you down throughout the course and we'll figure out where you're willing to commute from, where you're working from, and that's where we try and align with what the clients want, with what your desires are. And if we can't do it, we'll be very honest and frank about it. And what we'll say is we'll keep trying, and if something pops up that suits your situation, we'll be straight back on the phone and emails and say, hey, we've got new job roles coming and it suits exactly the requirement of the job. Would you like your CV to go forward for it?
Fantastic, that's great, sounds great.
So yeah, you'll go on, if you see on the left-hand side, you'll see the cybersecurity courses. You'll click on that, find out more. The screen will pop up, which will say, which will have the 4 courses on, and you'll be able to see a button that says apply now. If you apply now, you'll get the screen that's on the right-hand side. There you answer a few questions, state which course you'd like to be considered for, and then you'll get an invitation from us, which will then just explain what the link is, how to click on it, how to sort it out. And if you get any issues, you can just give us a call or an email, and we'll sort it out. Slightly pretty good of relatively quickly. Within your assignments, you'll see Cybersecurity Essentials, or you'll get the Offensive course loaded up, and then you just work your way through those. So this will be what it will look like, the curriculum content. If you haven't done your Network Plus, Security Plus, then you can start there. And then what you do is just work your way down. What I've tried to do is put it in preference order. Well, it is in preference order. So start at the top and work your way down. You'll see that it's split between courses and micro courses. And then after the Network and Operations Security course, you see it says SIDEF assessment. From there on, they have just a load of kind of tests that you can go and take to basically test to see how good you are and where you get to. And basically, the better you do on that, and the more courses and micro courses you do, the better chance of getting a phone call and an email saying, would you like to come on our next course? Just for the offensive, you are thinking of going on the offensive course, the best tip I can give you is going on the fundamental Linux administration and learning how to use terminal. Understanding just how to operate, work your way through different file systems, open up certain files, change directories and all that kind of stuff. That is fundamental to be able to be to pass the future qualifications that you'll be going on with Crest. So yeah, don't pay little service to those ones. So if you sign up, for example, you go and do the CompTIA Security Plus module, you sign up for it, and you can see they tell you 10 hours, 32 minutes if you do obviously all of it, and then it will give you the module list, and you just work your way through. They're videos, and basically the best way I can say is watch the video with a pen and paper and just write notes as you go through. And then you can obviously go and test your knowledge afterwards. Some of them have exams at the end where they can see. Otherwise, if you look on the right-hand side, you can go and take the pen test side-up assessment, for example, and just work your way through that. And then the better the score, the better chance of obviously being selected for Crucial. I think for that test there, you can take it and then come back to it, as well if, for example, you run out of time or you need to go do something else.
Tom, just on assessments, are people able to retake assessments if they fail it initially?
Some of them, I believe, you can go back into, for example, rather than if you get the wrong answer, it'll just say wrong answer, and it won't basically do anything until you put the right answer in there. So
right, okay.
It will remain as 0, null, void until it gets the right answer.
Right, okay.
That's down there. It will just remain like that until you put the right answer in.
Okay.
Okay.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Next one then. So this is how we see it. So we've got a big reporting feature with Cybery. So what we have there is your name on the left-hand side. You'll have your email as well. And then we see your progress, for example, is one of the reporting features. So if you are up there and you've done 82% of the curriculum provided, you're going to be definitely going to be on the first people we give a phone call to, just to see if you would like to come on the next course. And then we've got a big reporting feature in the background there, where again we'll look at the rest of your scores, we'll look at your CV, so make sure your CV is good as well. If you've got any issues with your CV, just drop us a call, we'll help you out with your CV as well. Because again, we'll combine a lot of information together, and again, once we put it all together, that will be how we select people to go on the courses. Okay, I'll whiz through these. These are the 4 courses that Crucial offers. Offensive. We've just recently changed to Crest qualification. We offer 2 qualifications here. The Crest Certified Practitioner Security Analyst and the Crest Registered Penetration Tester. There's no really 2 words about it. These are hard qualifications to be able to pass, which is why we do such an extensive selection process, and why I say you can get on Cybery to start to learn the basics and the fundamentals. The easier it is. Yep.
Tom, if somebody's already passed the Security Plus, Network Plus, IP Fundamentals, those sort of prerequisite courses, will they need to provide you with certificates if they've got them, or are you just happy for it to be just a sort of a knowledge-based interview or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, if they've got the certificates, amazing, because then we'll put a note on your profile and say, look, they've already got it, so we won't expect you to have done Network Plus and Security Plus. And then also what I'll do is you'll probably get a phone call with myself or one of my other trainers, and we'll just do a short, very short interview where I'll just ask you certain questions. If you've done it, it won't be anything exceedingly difficult. It'll be based on the level expected of Security Plus and Network Plus. And if it's all fine, then yeah, it will be ticking the box.
Fantastic. And you talk about some of the tools that on Cybery, like VirtualBox, and some of the other tools you talked about. Do they work better on different operating systems? So do they work better for, say, on an OS operating system, or are they better on Windows, or are they pretty flexible across all operating systems?
Computer you use. So if you've got an old computer, it will struggle to run a virtual environment. Because basically what you're doing is you're running a computer within your computer. So if it's an old computer, you may struggle. It just be quite slow and laggy. If you've got a decent computer, just a modern one that you bought in the last few years, it'll be absolutely fine, especially if you're only running one computer within there. Again, if you've got if you are struggling to operate or set up like I said, VirtualBox, again, just drop us a message on social media. or via the cyber@crucialacademy.co.uk email address, and I'll help you out. I'll just drop you I'll drop you a phone call and talk you through it.
That's fantastic. Thanks very much, Tom.
Not a problem. Yeah, so the offensive one is if you want to go and work as a penetration tester, these are the recommended qualifications to get. With these are the ones that clients and industry want to have. But again, it is quite a hard test to pass at the end. So again, if you want to go down this route, start now building up those kind of fundamentals that I spoke about before. If you do that, you'll be fine when you come on the course. Any questions on offensive? If not, we'll move on to defensive. So defensive cybersecurity is, think of it as the SOC analyst. So you're sat there defending a business, whether it be a bank, whether it be medium-sized business, on live cyber threats as they come in. If you're lucky enough to have a monitoring system that can provide real-time analysis and alerts, that's great. Otherwise, you could be working, for example, like a private educational school, a hotel chain, or you name it, sat there making sure that all the configurations of their security devices in check, all procedures are right in regards to how they operate as a business, so there's no vulnerabilities both physically and digitally. We'll be looking at incident response, so if something happens, for example, if there's a ransomware attack on the business, if there's a malware infection, it'll be your job to go in there and deal with it. What we do then is we teach you that. We use the CompTIA CYSA qualification. Then what I haven't mentioned is we do 2 weeks of learning, and then the third week for military personnel is we get industry down. So during that, for example, on the defensive course, we had the last one, we had IBM Resilient come down. And what we do is we teach you how to use the Resilient platform, which is a very well-known piece of software used in SOCs to manage cybersecurity. And with that, we then turn the academy here into a live SOC environment, and you'll be given, for example, roles such as the threat intelligence analysis, SOC manager, and we'll run a whole day as you would in a live environment as operating a SOC, for example, in a bank. Other people that we had in the last course, we had Optiv down, who run cybersecurity end-to-end management, and we had Digital Shadows, threat intelligence, who came down and did a tabletop exercise on current threats focused on the market as we see it now. So that's defensive.
Tom, just so the offensive and defensive roles, they tend to be roles where you work alone, or are you still part of a team, or can it be a bit flexible?
It's flexible, but mainly you will work as a team. So defensive, definitely you should be working within a team of people. So you'll be working within, for example, you may have some network administrators there helping you manage all the pieces of equipment, or you'll be working, for example, in an analyst team, working together to try and solve these incidents as well. If you're operating, for example, in a big bank or a consultancy firm. Or if you're working, you may, for example, decide to go contracting once you leave, and you become, for example, like a freelance penetration tester. And then, yeah, you'll be working alone. But normally, for example, you could also work in penetration testing teams, where, again, you'll be working as you expect within a team. So information assurance, this is the least technical out of the 3 courses that we run. We use PCB, and there are 2 qualifications here. So for military personnel, what you'll do is you will have a week of introduction to cybersecurity. So we'll teach you what cybersecurity is, common threats, common attacks, common vulnerabilities. We'll teach you also risk within cybersecurity management. We'll teach you the kind of frameworks that you could also come up against. And then we'll run you through 2 weeks. The first week will be ISO 27001 lead implementers. So that'll be understanding how to manage and set up an information security management system within a business. And the next one is basically understanding what GDPR is. So you'll be taught through how to implement it, how to monitor it, how to audit it within businesses as well. It's quite self-explanatory. It's got its protection, information security within a business rather than cybersecurity. Because of the 2 qualifications and then the cyber week, there's no industry week in this one, should we say. But again, you come out with 2 qualifications in this one.
Fantastic.
Okay, and the last one is the kind of new qualification, well, the new one, or the newest out of all of them, CREST Cyber Threat Intelligence. This slide actually needs to be updated. So on there, it's got CREST Registered Cyber Threat Intelligence Qualification. What it is now is, it is still the registered, but it's also the practitioner. So very much like the information assurance and the CREST Offensive, you'll do 2 qualifications during the training. So you'll do the practitioner first, and then you'll go and be provided the qualification for registered as well. And here, this is one again. There's a lot of overlap from what you've experienced in the military, from what you can then bring into the cybersecurity. So again, if you understand threat modeling, the intelligence cycle, if you ever worked in an intelligence team, or you've been operating in a headquarters, a lot of the models and frameworks used here will be very familiar as well. It's still technical this one, not as technical as the offensive and defensive. It will require some knowledge, but it won't be as full on, should we say, in regards to the defensive one. But in this case, the more you understand technically, the sounds strange, the much better analytical process you'll go through when trying to build up these kind of case projects on certain threat actors or incidents, etc., etc. This one again has a third week where we get industry down. We've had FireEye, Digital Shadows, again IBM, all come down. Again, introducing people to what it's like in industry and how these jobs play out once you leave and join certain businesses.
Tom, I've got a couple of questions that have come in. If you're happy for me to put those to you, the first one is: is the free training only open to those who are in transition or looking to leave, or is it open to people who are perhaps been out of the forces a little while, or those who are reservists? Or is there any limitations on that?
Yeah. So if you're going through resettlement, then it's free. It's free. And like I said earlier, if you've left the military and you're currently working, there are some stipulations. The reason why there are some stipulations, and it's one of those, we need to have basically, you need to have not face to face, sorry, we just need to have a conversation on the current circumstances, because what will happen if businesses understand that they can get their military personnel through Crucial for free, they will just sending their employees through Crucial Academy for free rather than paying for them. And at the end of the day, Crucial Academy is a business that if everyone wants to do that, Crucial Academy wouldn't exist. So if you are working, if you are out in industry, you may find that your business already has terms with Crucial, then obviously it's absolutely fine, don't worry. But otherwise, you just have to engage with Crucial, either yourself if you control the budget, or talk to the person who does, and just engage with us, and we'll see. We've had people who have left the military who've come and done it for free. And we've also had the situation where we've talked to the business and they've said, yeah, we've got a budget for this, you can go on the course.
Another question's just come in. So on the courses, are you able to make provisions for people who attend the courses who have got a disability of some sort?
Yeah, we do. We try our best to do that. We try and have a range of different type of learning within the academy. I personally hate, again, just focusing on PowerPoint or something like that. So we try and have a range there. And again, it's really just engaging with Crucial as early as possible to see how we can basically how we can do that.
And is the learning environment accessible for perhaps people who've got mobility issues around mobility?
Yeah, we've got access. Yeah, we've got access for all that kind of stuff.
Fantastic. Just a couple more, and I guess if anyone has got any questions, please just send them through while we're talking through these last couple of questions. So, are there any networking events specifically centered around cyber that you'd recommend that people sort of engage with or attended?
Yeah, definitely. So InfoSec happens, which is not the greatest answer, but that is a big one. That, again, if it comes around next year, is a very good one to go to. That's based in London. It's every who's who in cybersecurity and information security attended. It's a very good one just to to go around and meet people in industry, and just to chat with them and build that networking event up.
Okay.
Tech Fest are a charity based in London, and they hold quite a few of these kind of events where you can go and meet industry as well. So they're very good for that. So I would highly recommend looking at their platform as well. And the banks normally put on lots of military veterans days. Again, you just got to go on their website and see when they are doing those kind of days, and they're very good. So again, it would just be making sure when the banks are running their kind of veterans day and their veteran program. And a little tip for that, just whenever you are thinking of going there, just again ask the people who normally run them on military as well, and just ask them how the programs are currently running, what kind of jobs are normally currently available as well, and they should give you a really good answer in regards to what is on the cards. For example, if you were to be successful and to get onto their books during those internships. What other ones?
There's the Cyber Expos in they run in Manchester and London twice a year.
Yeah, the Cyber Expo, they normally do in Bristol and London. They're good. They're also very good. Trying to think. What is it? The IISP. They normally do quite good events in London, where they'll just do open events, which is the Institute of Information Security Professionals. So IISP, they will run events. Crest will do events. They do something called QuestCon, where again you can go around. There'll be lots of talks on cybersecurity, how to get into the industry, what's the latest threats, what's the latest big things in industry. So they do some really good stuff as well. Look out for your SANS as well. SANS will do quite a few events in London and around the country. UK Cybersecurity Challenge should do quite a few events as well.
Yeah, no worries. So we've had a couple of questions around the success of Crucial and how many of your graduates have gone on successfully to form a career in the sector.
Oh right, yeah, sure. Yeah, pretty much. I don't know statistics off my head, so I'm not going to throw any. I'm not going to throw it out, but pretty much nearly all of them have now got jobs in the industry. I don't know of anyone who hasn't got a job, and it's different. It varies for some people. Some people come to the very start of their resettlement, and then they spend the next 8 months still going through the resettlement process. And what we do is we just keep them on the books, and then again, once they get towards the last 3 months, we re-engage with them and see what their situation is and whether we've got jobs available for them. A lot of them, again, we may not have jobs straight away when they finish the course, but again, we'll keep in touch. We'll meet them in networking events, and then they'll go on to get jobs afterwards as well. The point is Crucial provides you with that kind of platform, that qualification that is accredited and recognized worldwide.
Yeah.
At the same time, we then try and help and try our best to get and give you that leg up into industry. So we'll listen to the people on the course. If, for example, there's a lot of hesitation around technical interviews, we'll put on a day where we'll kind of do a apprentice-style technical interview day, and we'll run people through face-to-face technical interviews and how they experience in the real world. So then when they go and do one for real, it's not as intimidating as it is for the very first time that they've done it. Success rate, the only thing I know is that we've got a 95, 98% success rate in all our qualifications so far. Everyone is pretty much going to get a job. The people that I don't know have got a job are the ones still going through the resettlement process.
Yeah. It's because it isn't right for them at this time, as opposed to they just haven't been able to find one.
Yeah, exactly, and that's it. We don't promise anyone a job. We're very honest, and we say, look, we will try our best to get you that job and that help, and we'll work for your CV. We'll give you interview training, and we'll tell you which companies are hiring, which companies we send your CV to. Because then, once we do that, it's kind of up to the student and the candidate. Then we can't do much more because they have to then go past the interview. And we've had people who've gone and taken interviews but have not been taken on after that, and they've had to go for a second interview with a different company after that.
Yeah.
and that's just how it is. I just think of Crucial's there in the background, fighting your corner as well, trying your best. You've got someone else going through the process. Because I understand going through it, trying to do this. It's really hard trying to find a job.
Yeah.
It's as much work as actually doing a job, trying to find a new job when you're coming out of the military. And so you've got to do it as well, and Crucial will be there just trying to help you as well during the process.
Tom, that's absolutely fantastic. Thank you ever so much for your time this evening. Just a very, very quick last question. Are you going to be at the Insight Day on Thursday?
Yeah, I will 100% be there.
Fantastic. And your Insight Days, are they always held at your training centre in Brighton, or do you move them around?
No, they're always held at Brighton, and we run them quite regularly. I think every couple of months they get run because they're quite popular.
That's fantastic.
If you can't get on this one, CTP will put the next one up relatively shortly as well.
Fantastic. Tom, thank you ever so much for your evening, for your time this evening. Just very quickly to the audience and to those who have been listening attentively for the last hour or so, thank you ever so much for your time. Thank you ever so much for your questions. So all that's left for me to do this evening is just leave you with our contact information. So you can contact the Officers Association via our website and via our Twitter feed and LinkedIn feeds. Tom mentioned the cyber@crucialacademy.co.uk email address. So if you've got any questions or are looking for any extra information from Crucial, then please just drop them an email at that address. Tom kindly said that we can share these slides, so we'll make them available to everyone who attended. The last thing I'm going to say is that we've got a webinar next week, which is for looking at careers in the London legal industry. So if any of you would like to find out a little bit more about that subject, then please register. And other than that, thank you ever so much for your time this evening. It's been fantastic. Tom, thank you for your time, and everyone have a good evening. Thank you very much.
No, thank you.